Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're in Saigon to learn more about the Vietnam War and answer the question, how did Saigon fall? The Vietnam War is a long and complicated topic and will probably take way longer than this video should be to explain. However, in this video, we'll just be talking about how it ended. Let's dive in. Firstly, what was the Vietnam War? And why was it important? Well, the Vietnam War was one of the most crucial episodes of the Cold War. The Cold War was a diplomatic conflict between the two most powerful nations at the time, the US and the Soviet Union, over political ideologies. Essentially, both countries were trying to influence other countries as much as possible. By the 1970s, the Cold War had engulfed the entire world. However, since the nations knew that direct war would cause an apocalypse, the focus of the Cold War shifted to influence smaller proxy wars. The Vietnam War, in this case, was a war between the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, more commonly known as North Vietnam, which is a communist regime, a type of government which was used by the Soviet Union and China, and the state of Vietnam, more commonly known as South Vietnam, which was heavily supported by the US. The Vietnam War was famous for many things. For example, it was the only time in history where the US lost a war which they had direct conflict in. It also made the US and the rest of the Western countries in the world fear the domino effect, which is effectively like a principle where if one country fell to communism, then more countries would follow, and that would eventually lead to the collapse of the US and the West. The fear of the domino effect made the US participate in direct conflict in Vietnam. They probably expected it to be an easy victory, yet nearly 20 years afterward, the war was still on. With public opinion turning against the war, in 1973, President Nixon made a monumental decision. In 1973, the US withdrew all troops from South Vietnam. This meant that South Vietnam was practically on their own. By December 1974, nothing was getting better for the South Vietnamese. Little did they know it was going to get much worse, specifically 75 miles northeast of the capital. The Battle of Phuoc Long was a decisive victory for the North Vietnamese. With this victory, the North Vietnamese started steamrolling through the South. With each battle and each victory, they got closer and closer to Saigon. According to Wikipedia, the South was superior in numbers by December 1974. However, from the period of 1974 in December to the capitulation of South Vietnam in April 1975, the casualties in the South Vietnamese side were at least 50 times the amount of those in the north. It was obvious that the North Vietnamese army was superior over the South. But why though? Let's find out. The Viet Cong were experts at guerrilla warfare, which was a technique in war where you got a small group of soldiers, usually against a larger force, but you used different factors like the geography of the area to try and do quick ambushes and pick off soldiers one by one. Vietnam was perfect for it because it had thick jungle, which was good for you to have a sneak attack before jumping back into the jungle. Not only they used the jungle, but they also used a secret tunnel system, which took their guerrilla warfare to the next level. They also set up lethal traps, which were easily disguised, and enemy screams gave away their position.
Rush a little top. When the youth army fighting here, they could not see easy fall down. They are fall down for stick come out. I hit your leg. Right.
I was lucky enough to get to go through one of the war tunnels.
Oh, wait, stop it, stop it. Okay.
My shoes will be ruined by the end of this.
Okay. So you. You go slowly.
Wow, down again, down again.
How do you feel?
I can't believe people had to put up with this.
Down there, they are stuck and come up. The straw to come up right here. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
From
it
there we are
connects?
out 20 meters.
It connects?
Connected. Okay. Stop now.
These ingenious guerrilla tactics proved too much for the South Vietnamese to handle. By the end of April, practically all hope was lost for the South Vietnamese, and now we enter a chaotic stage of the war, the evacuation, which is where the South Vietnamese government tried to get personnel out of the country as quickly as possible, so if the city was taken by North Vietnamese, they wouldn't get persecuted. And this building was the site of one of the most famous photos of the evacuation, here at the Pittman Apartments. This evacuation was called Operation Frequent Wind, which took place between the 29th and 30th of April, and saw the evacuation of 7,000 people via helicopter, which made this the largest helicopter evacuation in history. With this, the end came. On April 30th, 1975, South Vietnam fell. Its final day was complete chaos. The government had been in disarray ever since the 21st, as the president had resigned, leaving the vice president in charge, who resigned after a week. With this, the government was unstable as Viet Cong forces marched on the city. People associated with Americans evacuated on top of the American embassy as North Vietnamese stormed and destroyed it. Finally, the Viet Cong flag was raised in the Independence Palace, marking the end of the Vietnam War. Thank you for watching this video. Also, thank you for all the subscribers you've given me in the last, 6 months-ish. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, because after all these videos, I'm actually broke, so it will be very useful if we can get to 1,000 subscribers soon, and we can apply for monetization. So, thank you for watching, and happy 2024.
Hey. It's beyond the budget. Beyond budget. This is mine.
Wait, what? So we can't even afford drinking now? Please subscribe.